Hello everyone, my name is Alex, and today I'm gonna show you how I created a whole MCP server for the YouTube Data API version 3 using CurieTech AI. So once you're inside CurieTech AI, you can create a free account. I just went ahead here in Integration Generator without any repo, just adding a description and selecting your settings. In my case, I selected Java 17, Maven 3.9, and Mule 4.9. You can ask it to, I first asked it to generate a whole YouTube API for me, because I want to have the integration first to make sure that it works, and then I wanted to create the MCP server on top of that. So this is what I asked. I said, make an API that makes use of the YouTube Data B3 API. Include all the possible query parameters, including the key parameter for security. This is where your API key would go. So I literally went ahead and went to this data API. Here you have the parameters. I literally just went ahead and copied this whole thing and pasted it in Curie so it would know what exact parameters. You can also just get the link and put it there. That also works. And after putting all the parameters, I just said, make it as simple as possible. So it took around 2.5 minutes, and it got me this whole thing. I just went ahead and copied this code. And in my VS Code or my ACB, I created a new project. I called it YouTube MCP Server Mule, and I pasted the whole code here. So after you start running the project, in my case, I'm already running it, you can just try it out. Here we can see that we are connected using the localhost and the port 8081. We can also see that there is no base path. And in our listener, we have here the path search. So that's what we're going to use. So if I open, for example, Postman, I can put localhost 8081/search. And then we're going to use the key query parameter, and we're going to put here the whole key that you had from your Google Cloud account. So you have to have one API key right here. Make sure that you have the YouTube Data API B3 restriction. If you don't know how to do that, go ahead and check out my GitHub repo in the description of the video, and I have the README so you can check all of the instructions there. Then we're using the Q keyword to search for MuleSoft. This is just the same thing that comes from the data API. We are just mapping all the parameters to make an API of our own. So here we have the Q, and this is just the term. So all of these query parameters are available for me to use from my MuleSoft integration. For now, I'm just going to use the key and the Q. And this is an example of what we receive. So in this case, we are having 10. Oh, because I did add a few defaults. So if I check here my transform message, or rather, let me open the code. Here, for example, we have the required parameters, which are part and key. But here for part, I am making a default. For key, I am also adding a default. For max results, I'm also adding a default of 10. For order, I am ordering by default by date, and so on. I added a few defaults just in case. So that is one of the defaults that is returning 10 results per page. But you can change that if you just send the query parameter and so on. Anyway, the API works. It is able to connect to YouTube, do a search, and return this stuff. So awesome. Once we verify that our API is working, we can go back to Curie, or what I did is I created a GitHub repo. I added the whole thing, this whole implementation. I just pushed it in a GitHub repo. You can also do that from here directly. If you just don't want to deal with that, you can just come here and click initialize repo and then push, and it will connect to your GitHub credentials. So if you click here, you can see here, I have here my Alexander Martinez GitHub. I also have other stuff, but you can use that. So it just goes directly and puts it in your repo for you. After I created my repo, I just went ahead and pressed here on repositories in GitHub. I am connected. You can just click on connect via auth. It will open another page for you. And then what I do here is that I select only specific repos, so you can select any one that you want. In my case, I just added the repo that I had selected, and then you just click on save and it gets you back to Curie. So once you have everything set up, you will see that you already have your stuff. I just make it a habit of coming here and selecting these things just to have them there saved. Because then like whenever you open these repo from another agent, you already have these settings. So once you have your API, everything is working, you put it in a GitHub repo. I just do it because I just like it more, that it creates a pull request for me automatically. But you can just go ahead and get it from a local repo or from just uploading your files, whatever works best for you. But I just went ahead, and now that I have the code, the base code, I went ahead and selected the coding agent. So in the coding agent, you can upload from computer, you can just put no repo, or you can add a repo. So in my case, that's what I did. I added my repo, the main. I added the description, and it already has the settings, and just click on submit, and that's it. So for my case, what I did was take this API and turn it into an MCP server using the Beta MCP connector. That is literally everything that I told to it. It went ahead and did the diff and everything. So once you take a look at the diff that it generates for you, in my case, it only modified the POM. So as you can see, it added the dependency for the MCP Beta connector. And then it went ahead and modified my whole flow to match with MCP stuff, which is pretty much what I needed. So I went ahead and clicked on approve. Once you click on approve, it will generate this PR for you. So this is why I am using a GitHub repo, because I really love this feature. And now you can just come here and take a look at the files changed. You can just like go to this branch to verify it on your own, which is what we're gonna do now before merging. So you can see here the POM and then all the changes. If you pay attention to the changes that it did, it added first a global element. No, we are not using best practices on this one. We have the MCP server config. So it's pretty much just setting up the SSE endpoint path and the messages path, which are the default values. Then it removed completely my HTTP listener configuration that I had here. And it instead added the MCP tool listener, which is exactly what we want. And not only that, it was able to generate the whole parameter schema for me, including the description. It was able to know what this MCP server was going to do. So it added the whole parameter schema, and this is why I wanted all the parameters to be there explicitly. So if we take a look at the data that we had, we are matching up everything from the attributes query parameters exactly to the same name. So we could have done this differently and just done the mapping automatically, just like take all the query parameters and send them. But I wanted to have them here explicitly, because then this would help us to create this whole schema, because then now it knows what exact parameters it's expecting. So it was able to create all the properties, part, key, queue, and so on. And it even generated descriptions for all of them because it knows like what they do, which is awesome. After that, it just generates the MCP responses. In this case, it's just doing like the output in a JSON. That's fine. And we have the same logger that we had before, but then take a look at this. When we are mapping, we were mapping from the attribute query parameters to the actual thing. So now it's going to get this from the payload, because now this is no longer an HTTP request or like this is not a listener, this is an MCP listener now. So everything comes in the payload as opposed to the query parameters. So this is also why I wanted to have them visually there, because you can now see these change very clearly. And that's pretty much it. That's all the changes that it did. Let's remember that I had not done MCP stuff before. So this is the first time that I know how to actually do the changes, because I hadn't done an MCP server before in MuleSoft. So this is super, super cool, because I just went ahead, told Curie what to do, and it did it we saw the first one took like 1.5 minutes. This one took 8 minutes. That's 10 minutes of my life that I didn't have to go through all the docs. And you can argue like, I'm not gonna know what to do now, but I will, because I can see now the code, and I can see now how this is working, how this is set up. So I can now replicate it myself if I need to, because I personally learn from code. Some people might learn from videos or articles, but I learn from seeing code. So this is super useful for me, because now I know what to do. If I wanted to do it from scratch by myself, I would be able to do it. So anyway, enough rambling. Let's cut to the chase and go to this branch. Let me stop this. All right, so now let me close this. Close this. I'm gonna close this because we're not gonna need that anymore. There we go, added the embedded. So now we just have the regular stuff. Okay, so let me commit this before I change to the branch. Cool, now we can change to the branch. So if I just come here, click on main, I can see that I have this now. And now we can see the changes. We have the tool listener, the MCP server, name, description, parameter schema, which is everything that generated for us. It has the same logger. Then the transfer message was changed to have payload. And that was pretty much it. Everything else stays the same. It will do the request and it will respond the same thing. Now let's run this application. Okay, this is deployed now. So if I go to my GitHub repo, I already have these instructions in the README. We have to run SuperGateway first. So this is the command that you have to run. Just make sure that this is 8081 or it matches whatever. If you change the project, it matches that. So I already have it here. SuperGateway SSE, localhost 8081/SSE, and then the path is that, message is message. Okay. So we run that, and this is just gonna hang there like this. So this is just to listen to that. It is pretty much taking the HTTP and connecting it to an output transport of stdio, which is needed for the MCP stuff. Then the second thing is we can verify if this MCP is actually running. We cannot just do a call like we did before with Postman. That doesn't work like that. So we can use the MCP server thing, the MCP Inspector thing. So just run this thing. I already have it here. npx model protocol blah blah blah. Run that. And you're gonna see something like this. So you receive a session token and you can open the inspector with the token pre-filled. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna copy this whole thing with the token. And note that you have to have SuperGateway running. So I paste this in my Google. This is what I get. Now we have to do some setups here. You can just go to the README and check that out. So transport type is SSE and the URL is going to be this. Again, this is a port where I am running my gateway. So like this. And if we take a look here at configuration, we can see that the proxy session token is already there because it took it from the URL that we put there. So that's it. Click on connect and it didn't work. I just realized I forgot something else that I needed you to do. So I stopped the application, and then if you go to ACB, click on the settings. Let me make this smaller. From here, you can scroll down. You will see these that says Mule Design Service System Properties. So copy that, or like rather from here. And then go into your Mule runtime default arguments. This is kind of a workaround that I'm working on right now, because I had some issues with my ACB. I don't know if you will have the same issues or not, but just in case, make sure you do this. So in your default arguments, go to the end and put -m-d and just add Mule HTTP service implementation netty, which is again the same thing that we have from here. So save that. And you can also just double check in your, no, not here, here. Click on this here. You should see this open. And this is how my launch.json looks like. If yours looks different, maybe try using this. Just make sure that you have the default argument thing there. Or I think you can just add it here as well, like dash m dash d and this whole thing, if you don't want to modify your default arguments. But for me, I'm gonna leave it in the default arguments. So yeah, let's run this again. And we are running now. So if I make this smaller, we see the deployed. There is no need to like restart SuperGateway or the MCP thing, I think. We can just come back here to the MCP Inspector, refresh. We still have the same URL. We still have the proxy session token. And now, now it works. So once we have this, you can go here to tools. Oops, sorry. I should have zoomed in more. Anyway, this is all the configuration. Go here to tools and click on list tools. And you should now see the YouTube search or whatever. Let me make this smaller. Or whatever the name for your MCP server is. So we have this, and now we can see that we have the part snippet, and it comes with a default. We also have the default for the max results, for the order, and all of the other things that I had set up by default. So this is super cool because it's already there. We don't have a key. If we don't put a key, this is not gonna work. So let's click on run. And we receive the thing because it's forbidden because we didn't add a key. So let's go ahead and add a key. And now if I scroll down and click on run tool again, I did receive an error because there's something wrong with my implementation. So if I come here and I take a look at the logs from my local, we can see here kind and then evaluating expression. So it's the response. No read or write handler for kind. That's okay. So let's fix that. For the sake of time, I'm just going to show you really quickly how to fix that error. So, oops, not here. If we go to the tool listener at the beginning of the thing, we remember we had the name, the description, the parameter schema, and then here we have the responses. So in this case, we are selecting text tool response content, and we are just gonna output the text as is. In this case, like payload raw. That's it. It's just gonna take everything from the payload and put it in a string pretty much. You can do this like way fancier to make like a few transform messages, but I'm lazy. I'm just gonna leave it like this. So once you start running everything, you can go back to your MCP Inspector. You have the key, you put your API key, and then let's ask, for example, let's search for MuleSoft. You can also add like a channel ID or any other stuff, but let's just leave it like that. And once we run this, we will receive a successful response, and we will receive some stuff like, here's one video, explore MuleSoft for Agentforce with topic center and API catalog. And we can see the channel ID. I don't know who did this. Oh, channel title, Salesforce developers. Awesome. This is probably one of Akshata's videos. Anyway, so this is working. This is connecting. This is, instead of using Postman to connect to your API, we're doing this to connect to our MCP server. Cool. Now let's see how to use it in Claude or any other IDE. So I'm going to show you how to do it in Claude. You can use Curie AI or ChatGPT or whatever you prefer. Here in Claude, just go to settings. This will open this window, select developer, and I already have it installed, but you can just go ahead and click on configuration. This will show you where the file is located, and you can open it in any editor of your choice. In this case, this is where I have it. So this is a command. Again, you can go to the description of the video to see my GitHub repo where I have this command. So you can just copy and paste. And here you have the MCP servers. This is called YouTube. And you have the arguments to run with SuperGateway. In this case, it's in 8081. So that's what we want. That's fine. Once you have this installed, once you save the file, you will have to quit and reopen Claude. So in Mac, it's Command Q to close all of it and reopen it. In Windows, I believe you can just close the app and reopen it, and that's good enough. So now we're gonna get to the fun stuff. So let's try this example. Search for the ProsDev YouTube channel and give me the last 4 videos they uploaded. And I totally forgot to send the API key. All right, so use this API key for the call. FYI, don't worry about my API key. This will no longer be available once you see this video. So I'll search for the ProsDev YouTube channel and get their last 4 videos. So it first tried to look for ProsDev, looking for the type channel. For some reason, it didn't return, but this is something that happens with the YouTube API. Sometimes it just returns 0. That's just how the YouTube API works, I guess, because it has happened to me a few times before. So it just tried again, doing now ProsDev channel. It should have worked with this one, like this, but it was just a hiccup. So it just tried a different search, and it did return just one result. And here you can see it returned my channel ID. It has a title ProsDev, so this is the channel. So by doing this, it was able to gather the channel ID. So now it can use the channel ID. So now it's using the key, the type video, order by date, channel ID this, and max results 4. So it already knows what to do with it. So it returned the 4 videos or whatever. For example, this, it gives you a summary of published video ID description. You can say, for example, create a LinkedIn post to showcase the first video from this list. I mean this one. Make sure to add the link to the video in the post. So now it generated this. Streamline your API development with AI. Just discovered this fantastic tutorial from ProsDev, blah, blah, blah. It gives you the, what you're gonna learn. And this is part 1 of the thing. And then check it out. This is the link to the video. Have you tried, blah, blah, blah. And then this. I mean, you can just ask it to generate more stuff, change it, follow ProsDev. I don't know. Yeah, this is one use case that I thought of, but you can use it for a lot of different things. So this is really cool that you were able to generate the whole MCP server from scratch, or I was able to generate the whole MCP from scratch without ever having done an MCP server before in my life, just now. And I didn't know how to start. I didn't know what to do, but Curie helped me figure everything out. I didn't even have to read the docs. I just went ahead and checked it out. And now that I know the basics of how to use this thing, I can do even more stuff. Because, for example, I showed you, right, we were returning the whole payload instead of doing something nice for it. So if we come here, we are just generating payload raw. We have all these types of responses: text tool response content, text resource tool response content, image tool response content, blob resource tool response content. So there's a lot of things that we can respond with. We can add audience priority and so on. So there's a lot of things that we can do with this, but at least now I know how to do the first thing. And this was so simple to do. It's just literally connecting to YouTube to do some search using the API. So we can do more stuff. Maybe we can do, I don't know, a Netflix thing to check if it's on Netflix or not. I know Netflix doesn't have an API, but maybe we can do a web crawler kind of thing or something like that. I don't know. The possibilities are endless. So yeah, this was really cool. Thank you, Curie, for making the MCP creation way easier. And I did have to learn a lot of things on my own, like how to connect it to Claude. Curie didn't give me that, but you can see how this is really cool. And they're already working on an extension for ACB or for Anypoint Studio that you will be able to use CurieTech from the IDEs. So, I mean, I'm just speechless. I'm not speechless, I'm speaking a lot, but this is really cool. Anyway, Let me know if there is any other use case that you would like me to showcase, and I am happy to do it. Remember to subscribe and follow and blah blah blah, cause I will keep doing awesome videos like this, and you better be here to watch them. Alright, see you in the next video. Bye!